Hello, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install Octane X for Cinema 4D 2023 on any M1 Mac for free. This is only for the Apple M1 chips, so any Apple Silicon, you can see a list here of all the ones that you can use it for, and it will work for any of these laptops or computers. This is perfect if you're a student or just want to learn what Octane is if you've never used a third-party renderer before, or if you've got access to another third-party renderer like RedShift or vRay, and you just want to compare and contrast what the different workflows are like. But there are some caveats, and I will go through them right now. Number one is that this is an experimental build. Octane calls these XB or RC. XB means experimental build, and RC means release candidate. This means that the software is in alpha or beta and means that you will be an alpha or beta tester, which means that there might be some bugs. The second is that it has some limited features. However, I don't think you'll be using a lot of these features if it's your first time using Octane, so you won't have to worry. The third thing is that you have to be on Mac OS Monterey with an M1 chip. That means you can't use Mac OS Ventura when it comes out later this year, or you can't use any older Macs that have an AMD graphics card. And the last thing is that it won't be free forever. This experimental build will likely move to a release candidate and then likely move to an actual product that you'll have to get through a subscription via the Otori website. So I would really jump on it right now if you can. I think it'd be a great way for you to try out the software. And so let's get to it. So first, we want to just make sure that Cinema 4D 2023 is installed. And I'll just show you up here, and it says Cinema 4D 2023. And the first thing we want to do is go to our Applications folder and scroll down and find Mac OS Cinema 4D 2023. Take a look in there, and if we just right click and check Get Info, we'll actually see this side button here which says Open using Rosetta. We want to make sure that this is not checked. Beforehand, when we were installing Octane, we needed to have it on. For now, we don't need it. So just make sure that it's not checked. The next thing you have to do is to click on a link that's below the video, and that will take you through to the Otori forum page, which will have the download ready. I'll also just include a direct link straight to the download, so you can just download it straight away. If you want to read any more information, you can just read it all on here in terms of what the plugin revisions that there have been. And if you just scroll down to the bottom, you'll see here where it says Mac OS 12.3.1 M1 CPU build. This is the one that we need to download, but you should already have that link already. Once that's downloaded, we want to just find it in our downloads folder, double click it, and it should open up as a C4D Octane folder. What I'm going to do just for ease is just to drag and drop this onto my desktop because we're going to need it later. And on the other side, we just want to make sure that we've got our applications window. So just going to drag and drop that in here. And so the only two things, we'll double click this actually, just to have a look, and you'll see all the contents of this folder. Don't worry about what's in there yet. I will talk you through that in a second. What we want to just make sure is that we've got this on the right hand side and we've got our applications window on the left hand side. So in this applications window, the first thing we want to do is double click and make sure that we're in the Mac OS Cinema 4D application. Right click and create a new folder. Because we're making a change that requires admin access, it's requiring my password, so I'm just going to put my password in, and then it will say untitled folder. This folder you want to rename plugins, all lowercase. Once you've done this, it's going to ask for your password again, so just type it in again. And then in this folder, we want to double click, and within this folder, we want to create a new folder. And this one we're going to call C4D Octane, Octane, so C4D Octane. Once you've done this, double click into that folder, and you want to get the entire contents from the right hand side of the download that you have and copy and paste it into this new folder. So we're just going to wait for this to copy over. Didn't take too long. Yes, so now the entire contents from the C4D Octane folder is now in the one that we made in the applications folder. Now, I did say I was going to explain what all of these folders are, but the ones that really mean something to us are the xlib files. So if you're wanting to install this for Cinema 4D 2023, you want the R27 xlib file. If you want to install it for R26 or R25, you want to keep those respective folders and delete all the other ones that we do not need. So for us, in our example, the one we need is R27. So I'm going to select R26 and R25. I'm going to right click, and from here I'm going to move to bin. So the only things we should have left is the Cinema 4D Octane R27 xlib, the dlib, the dat, and the res folder. Those are the only four things we should have in this folder. So now that we've done that, we've got our plugin installed, we think that we can go and just click on Cinema 4D. So let's click on it. And lo and behold, we run into a problem. Don't worry, it's just saying that it doesn't recognize that Cinema 4D R27 is a thing or that Otoy is a developer. So this is something that if you've installed using my process the last time, you would be fairly familiar with. So if I just go and show you, our security and privacy settings are not allowing us to click allow anyway. So if I use my Touch ID, try and get through here, and I start mashing on allow anyway, I can keep clicking as many times as I want and it will not go away, which means that we can't actually initialize the plugin when Cinema 4D opens. So in order to get around this, what we need to do is actually get the terminal open. So if I just go into my Finder window and I just type in terminal and click on terminal, and in the comments of this video, there will be a command for you to copy and paste into the terminal. It's called a sudo spectral master disable. And what that allows us to do is to turn off the security and privacy gateway in order for Octane to initialize itself for the first time. Copy and paste this command that's in the comments and press enter. What it will then ask me for is my password. So I'm going to type in my password, but you'll notice that nothing comes up in the actual terminal window. So you've just got to type in your password and press enter, and then it will come up with just a new line. And once there's a new line, you know that that's been correct. If you've put your password in wrong, that's when it will come up and just ask you to put your password in again. Now, if I go back to Cinema 4D and I click on the Cinema 4D logo in my applications folder, and I just wait a hot second for this lovely animation to play through, which is from the new splash screen of the 2023. And just give it a second for the application to initialize and for the plugins to initialize. We can see here it's thinking about bringing Octane into the fray. And yes, so we've got our quick start dialog. I'll just get rid of that, and you'll see in the top right corner, Octane is in the top right in between extension and window. So if I click on there, you'll see the Octane dialog, the live viewer window, and the Octane settings. I'll click on the live viewer window, and you can see I'll just dock it down here for now. And if I just quickly make a cube, put that in, get a light, drag that over to the side, and if I just go ahead and click render, just so you can see that it's working. Where is it? There you go. Yeah, that's Octane working. And I'll just change it to path tracing, which is I know what everyone uses. And before we go any further, the last thing to do is to go back to this video and go down to the comments and copy and paste the sudo spectral master enable command. If I can copy and paste it properly, there you go. I'll just copy it here. And if we go back to our terminal, paste it back in, press enter, and it's going to ask for our password again. And then from there, we'll just type in our password again and just wait for another clear line to come up. And yes, so that means we've re-enabled the security gateway. That means no more bad apps can come in, and Octane is now recognized and it's gone through the process once. So I'm just going to open Cinema 4D again. Should take a little bit less time now. Yep, there you go. It opened super quick now. And congratulations, you now have Octane installed on your machine for Cinema 4D that allow you to make some beautiful, beautiful 3D renders. I'm just going to click on the live viewer window and just to make sure that it's all working. And just a fun tip that I like to do is I like to dock it on this right hand side because I kind of prefer working in this portrait orientation. And you can go up to window, go up to customization, and you can click save the startup layout, which is just in the middle here. And that means every time you open Cinema 4D, you won't have to keep redocking the live viewer window, and it will just mean that it's a nice workflow for you. Now, we're not done yet because as this is an experimental build, there are some things that aren't working properly, so we need to get the settings window open first. And this is the place where you'll obviously find your path tracing kernel, your photon kernel, all of these kind of things here. What we actually need to do is go over to the right hand side into settings and go all the way to the end to nodes, and we need to turn off new style. This is because it's not quite optimized yet for the new style of how they show materials within Cinema 4D. So within Octane, we just need to make sure that the new style is checked off, and that's what will allow you to actually see your materials when you're editing them in the node editor. And just a quick tip before you get started, if you are going to be creating any materials here, please do not use the Cinema 4D gradients or noises. What they've actually implemented within this update is something called Noise 4D, which you'll see here if I just drag and drop that in. And within here, you'll see on the right hand side, it has all of the Cinema 4D noises, but created for Octane. And the same thing goes for gradients too. So if I just go into the right hand side, you'll also find the Octane gradient somewhere in this big list. Yes, just down at the bottom somewhere here. So if you just use this as well instead of using any of the Cinema 4D gradients, then you'll make sure that you're not going to run into any unexpected bugs or errors, which it has been causing in the past and still today. So that's it. You now have Octane X on your Cinema 4D 2023 on your M1 Mac, and happy rendering. Again, if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments below and I will try and get to them as and when I can. Cheers.